Let us explore a life spent cosplaying as a human. Oops, wrong button. This morning's lesson is drawn from a good-hearted question found on Reddit. Meditation question. I'm always thinking about how I need to act and talk as if I'm watching my own self. Did anyone resolve issues like this through meditation? This is an excellent question. Let's see, I'm going to tap button 4. Occasionally, we all feel like an accidental fraud. And we all feel like the walking personification of the Dunning-Kruger effect. But that's an occasional phenomena. If we constantly have felt our entire life like we're an alien anthropologist disguised as a human and trying to fit in, that is a strong common denominator of neurodivergence. Clearly, I'm not a physician, I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not credentialed, I cannot give you a diagnosis, having never met you. But there are people who are licensed and who specialize in the evaluation of neurodivergence and helping people cope with neurodivergence. In the description area below the video, there is a link to help you with in 2 places. In the opening essay, there's a link, and in the description area below that, underneath the heading Freebies, there's another link. And I guess if I was a good guy, what I would do is tap button 5, and then go back and actually show you the link so you can recognize it when you find it. Well, actually, I think what I'll do is this. I think I'm going to tap button... That's not going to work. So what I'm going to do is this. Bear with me. So here's the link. Now, this is not a live link, but it'll help you to recognize the link in the description area below. And these guys can help you with an evaluation. In the interim, there's nothing stopping you from, looking up neurodivergence on TikTok or Instagram, because sometimes we don't want to explore an entire bathtub full of information when a thimble will do. Sometimes the incremental approach is more merciful. So let's see here. I'm going to go hit this and adjust that, and here we go. So clearly an evaluation is in order, because knowing what you're dealing with makes dealing with it that much more possible. Just feeling like you're weird or you're lazy or you believe in a self or whatever, or you're demon possessed, that's not going to help. But knowing what's going on is the first step to making sense of our lives. But you're not alone. If you are neurodivergent, please know that some of the greatest of humanity's luminaries have also been neurodivergent. Because if you're exactly the same as everybody, a carbon copy, we probably will not think that far out the box to help humanity take its next evolutionary step. Ask a biologist. They'll tell you that multiple neurotypes are vital for our success as a species. No one neural type has all the flaws. No one neural type has all the strengths. We all are a goulash of strengths and weaknesses, and we fit together like puzzle pieces, somehow making each other better and stronger and safer and wiser and kinder. Now, let us return to meditation. If you choose to cope with your circumstance through meditation, please understand that not all meditations are created equal. And this brings us back to our old friend Sturgeon's Law that reminds us that 90% of everything sucks, but no, not in the fun, tingly way. So what does that look like? Well, it looks like the majority of humanity and the majority of meditation teachers falling under the thrall of pseudo-spiritual patriarchy, honestly feeling that being rigid, fearful, superstitious, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel is where it's at. However, there's always been a minority, including the Buddha himself, who are described best by spiritual matriarchy, by being flexible, loving, rational, laid back, egalitarian, lucid, cooperative, and kind. And this does reflect in the way people teach mindfulness and meditation. For instance, there are a huge proportion of meditation teachers who insist that we must actively focus and actively analyze. However, the only way to perform those tasks, the only way, is to make use of discrete neurological mechanisms such as those found in our medial prefrontal cortex as well as our dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. And if you're a neuroscientist, please forgive the crude nature of these drawings. If you have a better one-size-fits-all drawing illustrating both the medial prefrontal cortex and the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, please share it with me and I will gladly introduce it into my teaching materials. Now, let's continue. The prefrontal cortex is a Jim dandy if you want to compare, contrast, analyze, calculate, or edit. But, like a Stradivarius violin, it is high-strung. Overuse of the prefrontal cortex will activate our amygdala, which has evolved to be the seat of aggression and anxiety. Which is darkly ironic, is it not? That in an effort to transcend anxiety, we exacerbate anxiety. But I've got some good news for you. The prefrontal cortex is not the only organelle within our central nervous system. Every time we inhale, whether we know it or not, we are already wired to access our sympathetic nervous system found in the middle third of our spinal cord. This bad boy has evolved to help us perceive in a very special way, to help us perceive vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly. Can you see the yin nature of these attributes? So we have evolved to perceive sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, scents, and the like, including emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings. Now, could that feel a little bit overwhelming? Well, good, because then I've got some good news for you. Because every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, we are accessing our parasympathetic nervous system, ensconced within both the lower third as well as the upper third of that same spinal cord. This parasympathetic nervous system has evolved to help us both physically relax as well as mentally release. Now, if you're half as clever as I hope you are, you could ask yourself right now, well, if that's the case, then why aren't I peaceful? In a word, Urkel. Remember the television character Urkel, who was clever and sweet but klutzy as hell, forever asking, did I do that? After wreaking havoc. Due to a quirk of evolution, our cerebral cortex is so jam-packed full of organelles it makes a hoarder's storage area look orderly. But I've got some good news for you. By silently, mentally, and passively reciting the demonstrative pronoun this during our inhalation induces our cluttered prefrontal cortex to actually cooperate with our sympathetic nervous system. Similarly, by silently, mentally, and passively reciting the one-syllable verb ease during our exhalation, this same cluttered three-ring circus of a shit show can't help but cooperate with our parasympathetic nervous system. How ironic is it that by silently and mentally reciting one-syllable words in harmony with the phases of breath, we can make use of the perception and release that are the essence of mindfulness and meditation. Will this cure neurodivergence? No, you can't cure a neurotype any more than you can cure being carbon-based or bipedal. But it can help you to cope with the slings and arrows of the difficulty inherent in being a neurodivergent in a neurotypical world. I think it could be great fun if together as a team we practice together after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School for more than 30 years. I've spent about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of meditation so that you would not have to. Welcome, my friends, to meditate like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. So together as a team, let us practice the latest iteration of secular contemplation, mindfulness, and meditation, which is my adaptation of both the Metta and Anapanasati suttas, arguably the most famous discourses attributed to the Buddha. Let us set intention by chanting love and releases wishes for universal enlightenment and well-being. No, these are not prayers. These are just recitations. For words guide intention, intention guides mind, mind guides energy, energy guides matter. May all circumstances of all beings appearing yet impermanent be as safe and abundant as a real or imagined Buddha's land. May all minds of all beings clear yet impermanent be as joyfully enlightened as a real or imagined Buddha's mind. May all relationships of all beings resounding yet impermanent be as peacefully loving as a real or imagined Buddha's speech. May all bodies of all beings sensual yet impermanent be as beautifully healthy as a real or imagined Buddha's form. We're going to keep track of our first quarter of this morning's practice simply by finding the great knuckle at the base of our right ring finger and gingerly resting it upon the tip of the left index finger, and then resting both our hands palms up in our lap. Thus we begin with Dhammasati or Anika Vipassana, set for impermanence contemplations to help us circumstantially let go. Perhaps let go as effectively as this cat has let go upon the lap of the Buddha statue. One moment. Let's see here. Please bear with me. Okay, during the inhalation, let us recite the pronoun what. During the exhalation, let us silently and mentally recite the verb change. Bear in mind, this question is rhetorical. So we're going to count 3 sets of 12 repetitions. But how do we count to 12 on just 4 fingers and 1 thumb? Simple. During our inhalation, as silently and mentally we recite the pronoun what, we can advance the tip of our our right thumb, beginning with the sets of creases on our little finger, and then moving our way to our ring, middle, and then index fingers. Let's practice this together right now. Well, that's 1 set of 12. How do we count 3 sets of 12? Simple. Sorry about that. So on our left hand, if on our right hand we're counting repetitions or rounds of breaths, inhalations and exhalations. On our left hand we're counting sets, beginning on our index finger. First set of 12, second set of 12, third set of 12. So we're going to play with 4 exercises. During the first exercise, we're counting on our index finger. The second exercise, we're counting on our middle. The third exercise, we're counting on our ring. And the fourth exercise, we're counting on our little finger. But right now, for this exercise, what change is counted on our left. The 3 sets of 12 repetitions are recorded or counted upon our left index finger. Now, don't lose heart. If this is ungainly, give it a chance. Show up and practice once every 12 hours for 2 or 3 weeks before passing judgment. What changed is a funny rhetorical question. We could feel like we're in the center of a maelstrom of impermanence, where circumstances, bodies, relationships, or minds are constantly in motion. Good morning and welcome to the first quarter of this morning's group meditation. We are gently contemplating impermanence. During the inhalation, we can silently and mentally recite the pronoun what. During the exhalation, we can silently and mentally recite the verb fade. Now, this is a rhetorical question, so it's not our job to actively strive to answer this, but to simply silently and mentally play with these words in harmony with our breathing in a way that allows our subconscious to do the heavy lifting. Since this is our first of 4 quarters, let us rest the great knuckle at the base of our right index finger gingerly upon the tip of our left index finger and rest these both these hands palms up in our lap. We can count 3 sets of 12 repetitions, counting the 12 repetitions upon our right hand. As silently and mentally we recite what fade. Advancing the thumb during each inhalation. If on our right hand we're counting reps, then on our left hand we can count sets. Counting the first set at the base, the first set of creases on our left middle finger. Now moving on to the second set of creases. Playing with this rhetorical question helps us to cope with the constant of change. For living in constant resistance to it is draining and unproductive. We come to our third of 4 exercises of our first quarter. During the inhalation, we persist in silently and mentally reciting the pronoun what. During our exhalation, we silently and mentally recite the verb cease. Remembering, of course, that this is a, rhetorical question. we come to the fourth exercise of the first quarter. During the inhalation, we can silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this. During the exhalation, we can silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease. This will help us train in relinquishing, surrendering, and just plain letting go. We continue with Kayasati's only set of 4 preliminary meditations that center our bodies. Since this is the second of 3 quarters, what we can do, what I recommend doing, is that we simply rest the great knuckle at the base of our right middle finger gingerly and gently upon the tip of our left middle finger, resting both these hands palms up in our lap. As we breathe in, silently, mentally, and passively, we can recite the verb feel, and as we exhale, we can silently, mentally, and passively recite the adjective long. So we're not trying to force our breaths to be long, but we are simply playing with, we're sort of playing with programs in the supercomputer of our mind. During our inhalation, we can silently, mentally, and passively recite the the verb watch. During the exhalation, we can recite the adjective short. We don't have to worry about controlling the depth or duration of our breathing. The mere word choice does that for us. Our job is not to control as much as it is to simply notice and release, in harmony with our inhalation and our exhalation. So we're not concentrating. We're just playing with these words in harmony with our breathing. That's it. As we breathe in silently, mentally, and passively, we can recite the one-syllable verb here. During the exhalation, we can silently, mentally, and passively recite the noun form, which functions as a monosyllabic synonym of body. So far, we've played with the verbs feel and watch. Energetically, here is the midpoint between those two extremes. So, it's not our job to actively listen to our body. That's really only possible after a great big bowl of lentils. All we're doing is silently, mentally, and passively reciting words in harmony with our breathing. Ironically, I should say welcome to the lazy bastard path of enlightenment, because here is simple. We're already wired during each inhalation to notice things, to perceive things, to listen to things, literally or figuratively, thanks to the workings of our sympathetic nervous system. So all we're doing with the word here is labeling a process that's already in motion. We come now to the fourth exercise of our second set. During the inhalation, silently, mentally, and passively, we recite the noun form, which is a monosyllabic synonym of body. During our exhalation, silently, mentally, and passively, we recite the one-syllable verb ease, which is a monosyllabic synonym of relax. Now here's the funny thing. We don't have to force relaxation. Thanks to the inner workings of our parasympathetic nervous system, we are already wired to physically relax during our exhalation. Then why are we playing with this word? To label a process that's already in motion, that we might cooperate with it as opposed to resist it. We continue with Vedana Sati's Sutta 4 jhana meditations that center our feelings. So this is our third of 4 sets of exercises. To keep track of that, what we can do is simply rest the great knuckle at the base of our right ring finger upon the tip of our left ring finger, and then rest these 2 hands palms up in our lap. During the inhalation, silently, mentally, and passively, we can recite the verb grin. During the exhalation, we can persist in reciting the noun form, which is a monosyllabic synonym of body. Now, here's the thing. It's not our job to pull the corners of our mouth or the apples of our cheeks or the crow's feet of our eyes into an analog of a smile. By simply playing with this verb and this noun, we are giving our subconscious tools to do some heavy lifting, to add joy to our experience. Or perhaps find joy in our body. Perhaps I should say bliss, to find bliss in our body. A body need not be perfect to have bliss. A body need not even be healthy or able to find bliss. The second exercise of the set is very similar to the first. We're simply replacing the noun form with the umbrella term thoughts, which includes all our experiences of emotion, intention, cognition, recollection, and imagination. During our inhalation, we can play with the perceptual verb feel, and during the exhalation, we can continue to work with the umbrella term thoughts, an umbrella for all our experiences of emotion, intention, cognition, recollection, and imagination. All we're doing is silently, mentally, and passively reciting words in harmony with our breathing. That's it. It's just that simple. During the inhalation, silently, mentally, and passively, we could recite the noun thoughts, which functions as an umbrella term for emoting, intending, reasoning, recalling, and imagining. As we exhale, we can silently and mentally recite the verb ease, which functions as a monosyllabic synonym of relax. Now, we're not lying to ourselves and telling ourselves that we're relaxed. We're not forcing ourselves to relax. All we're doing is labeling a process that's already in motion for during each exhalation. Thanks to our parasympathetic nervous system, we are already wired to physically relax and mentally release. This brings us, we conclude with Chitta Satis, second set of 4 jhana meditations that center our mind. Oh, that our mind could be as deeply centered as this pussycat right here. Eh, kids? During our inhalation, we can silently, mentally, and passively recite the perceptual verb here. And as we exhale, we can silently, mentally, and passively recite the noun mind, which functions as an umbrella term for our most fundamental perceptions of sight, sound, sensation, flavor, scent, and the like. To keep track of this, our fourth quarter, simply rest the great knuckle at the base of your right little finger upon the tip of your left little finger, and rest these 2 hands palms up in your lap. Doing so could contribute to our experience of freedom from compression, the experience of spaciousness. During the inhalation, we can silently, mentally, and passively recite the verb grin. During our exhalation, we can silently and mentally recite the noun mind. As we breathe in, silently, mentally, and passively, we can recite the noun mind that serves as an umbrella term for all our perceptions, all our fundamental perceptions of smelling, tasting, feeling, hearing, seeing, and the like. During our exhalation, we can silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease. As we breathe in, let us continue to silently, mentally, and passively recite the noun mind. As we exhale, let us silently and mentally recite the verb free. Once again, this is not an affirmation. This is not something we're forcing. We're just labeling a process that's already latent within each exhalation due to our parasympathetic nervous system. Let's seal this practice by chanting love and releases intentions for universal enlightenment and well-being. May all circumstances of all beings appearing yet impermanent be as safe and abundant as a real or imagined Buddha's land. May all minds of all beings clear yet impermanent be as joyfully enlightened as a real or imagined Buddha's mind. May all relationships of all beings resounding yet impermanent be as peacefully loving as a real or imagined Buddha's speech. May all bodies of all beings sensual yet impermanent be as beautifully healthy as a real or imagined Buddha's form. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 10 hours, I would very much like to return to lead tonight's evening meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.